I'm going to do things a little bit differently this time. I'm going to try to shoot a night episode.
And wow, it looks like a Kabeljou.
Ja, Frank, die groter een. Dit is 'n moersidder.
Whoa, that's a big fish. Yeah, wow.
So it's Mayoo from Mayoo's Catch here, and as you may be able to hear, we are actually at the ocean right now. The sun actually set maybe about half an hour ago, but I'm going to do things a little bit differently this time. I'm going to try to shoot a night episode. High tide is just about right now. That's why you can hear that the ocean is very loud, because the tide is literally here right now. It's only gonna get darker from here, but as you can see, I've got my light. So there's a light on my car there. So it's gonna illuminate my area where I'll be fishing, and hopefully you can actually see what comes in. But it's gonna be a tricky one, so hang with me. Now at night, usually it's catfish that bite. So you will most likely see catfish, quite a few of them on this episode. Well, at least that's what I hope. I'm gonna get my baits in the water. I'm going to be fishing with pilchards. Catfish love pilchards. They would also take white mussels. I just find that pilchards for catfish generally works a lot better. So that's what I'll be using, and I'll get my bait in the water and we'll see what happens. It's going to be a little bit tricky. This is an experiment, but hang with me. All right, guys, stay tuned. Cheers.
So this is my first cast. As you can imagine, at night, when you can't really see much, things happen by muscle memory. So the cast and everything is basically going to be what you know and what your muscles remember and what you do all the time. So right now, you can't really see much. You just walk to the water, you cast. At this point in time, it's instinct. So I'm gonna walk to the water and I'm gonna do what I do. Here we go. And there it's gone. I can see my cast was relatively good. So we wait for that ticking rod. You can see the water is pushing up almost all the way up to the car. Alright guys, so we just had a massive pool, and yeah, it's quite a pool, I must say. Let's see what it is. I hope I can land this fish. So I'm bringing it in nice and easy. I'm hoping to see a nice fish on the end of this line. Nice and easy. Trying to keep in the light so that you guys can see what's coming in. Trying to see what it is. Seems like it's a nice fish. Not sure what type of fish. Expecting generally a catfish, but we will see what it is when it comes here. dragging on the ground. And wow, it looks like a Kabeljou. Wow, that looks like a lovely, lovely cob. Wow, 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 wow. Look at that. Look at that. Let me hold it up to the light so you can see. This is an awesome Kabeljou. Look at that. Wow, it's a bit dirty, but that's definitely, let me just give it a rinse. That is definitely a size Kabeljou, everyone. That's definitely a size Kabeljou. And wow, what a nice catch. What a nice catch. Look at that. That is definitely a size cob. I hope you guys can have a good view of that. I know it's at night, but that's a lovely, lovely cob. Wow, so I will get this cob off the hook and we will throw for another one. Fantastic. Alright guys, so it seems like we have another fish on. I am expecting this one to be a catfish actually, because it wasn't as violent a takedown as the last bite, which was a Kabeljou. But I'm expecting to see a catfish on the end of this one. Of course, I want to keep seeing cob, but it's not fighting like a cob. I will say it's fighting more like a catfish. But let's see what it is. Okay, I can see that there's definitely a fish here. Let it just get washed in with that wave there. And what is it? It looks like a nice sized catfish actually. I don't know if you can see that. It looks like a lovely, lovely sized catfish. As you know, the catfish don't grow as big as the freshwater catfish do, but that is a lovely sized catfish, everyone. That is a lovely, lovely sized catfish. Looks like it might be a little bit of a gut hook, because you can see my floaty there. So it might be a bit of a gut hook, but I'll get the hook out. The fish are definitely biting right now. Okay, so I'm just bringing this rod in because there was a bit of a tick on it. The ticking did stop, but sometimes you never know, especially with catfish, which tend to be sometimes a little bit lazy with their bites. So I'm bringing it in anyway, just to see if there's something on there. And just as I guessed, it's a very little catfish. In fact, two little catfish. Oh my word. So these are two tiny little catfish. And they took all the attention away from the bait. And of course did not allow for the bigger fish to get the bait. I have no use for these two catfish. So I'll be throwing them back in the water. And yeah, then I need the bigger ones, not these size catfish. Alright then. Alright, so it feels like we have another one on. I was a little bit late in reacting to the bite, so I hope that the fish is still on. There was a bit of a late reaction from me, that's on me. But still hoping that it's on. I think it's a catfish because it was a bit lazy after the initial jerk. And yes, I think I see what seems to be a decent catfish on there. It's coming in now. And wow, it's actually a very decent catfish. So it's just a very lazy catfish, but that is a decent sized catfish. Wow, you see the pilchards are really doing the business today. But that is a lazy catfish. Now it has energy. Now it has energy, but oh, it's too late. I got a bit of a pull. Of course, I am hoping to see a fish on the other end of it. Was like a catfish because it was kind of lazy. But anyway, bringing it in so that at the very least, even if the bait is off, then I can rebait and recast. But yeah, there was a bit of a pull, and now it feels like it's getting a bit of energy as it's getting closer to shore.
Yeah!
So let's see what it is. I'm hoping for a catfish. Well, I'm hoping for a fish. I suspect it's a catfish. And here it comes. And yes, that looks like a catfish, in fact. It is another catfish, and these catfish are really good size, eh? They really don't get that big, but these ones are nice big catfish. Oh, lovely. Yet another one. I hope you can see that. Nice. All right, so it seems like we have another one on. There was a decent tug. I wouldn't call it a spectacular tug, but it was a decent tug. And hopefully on the other end of it is a decent fish. But yeah, a tug is a tug, eh? So we need to bring it in to see what it is. As I said at the beginning of the episode, the expectation is that generally catfish will be the ones that are biting right now. So the cob coming in first was actually a bit of a surprise. But catfish is what I expect to see. And it is a catfish. Sorry, I got a bit of seaweed that has stopped me from reeling in, but let's go examine the fish. It's not a big catfish. Yeah, it's not a big catfish by any stretch of the imagination. So we seem to have a fish here. It was literally after the bait hit the water. Had I known, I would have actually filmed the cast. But it doesn't feel like the biggest fish, if I'll be honest. But a fish is a fish, right? Of course, I'm expecting to see a catfish. I just hope it's a big catfish. Let's hope it's a big catfish. It's actually fighting quite a bit now as it's approaching the shore. So I'm hoping that means it's a big one. I can see it in the distance. And here it comes, dragging on the ground. There it comes. And it's actually a nice catfish, eh? It's actually a very nice catfish. Look at that. Look at that. It's a nice catfish. Yeah, that's a good catfish. Okay, good one. Oh dear.
Alright guys, so that brings us to the end of another episode of Mayoo's Catch. As you saw, this was a very interesting episode. It was a first for Mayoo's Catch, a night fishing session. So please, by all means, drop those comments. Let me know what you thought. What I like about night episodes is the fact that you can't really see much, but you just need to trust your technique, you need to trust your cast, and you need to know that you can still catch fish even if you cannot see much. So I'm intrigued by night fishing because of that. You need to use muscle memory to try and find generally the same area where you were getting those bites and continue putting the bait there so that you can continue to get the bites. You saw that the first fish was a cob. My theory is that was getting to the tail end of cob activity and it was starting to push into catfish activity. That's why the first fish was a cob and then all the other fish were catfish, because catfish generally are night fish. Although they can bite at any time, sometimes you're trying to catch other fish and you're just catching catfish. But anyway guys, remember to drop those comments, let me know what you felt. Remember to like, subscribe and share, and it's awesome meeting new people. I go to different locations and some people call me by name. They say, hey Mayoo, how are you doing? And that just goes to show that people are watching my content. It really makes me happy to see that. And guys, I truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. So please continue to like and support Mayoo's Catch. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I will catch you on another episode of Mayoo's Catch. Thanks for watching. Cheers.